It can do your homework. It can write codes. But it's not human. A big tech disruptor. AI chatbot that has everyone worried. Will it kill Google? Is your job safe? ChatGPT chatter decoded on News Track at 8 p.m.
Presented by धूल आए पर घर पे ना टिक पाए। Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group, Growing Legacies. Co-presented by Century Ply, आग से बचाए. Co-presented by Macho Hint, Fashion बड़े आराम से. Co-powered by Samsonite, tested like Samsonite. Indian Oil, पहले Indian फिर oil.
Good evening and welcome. You're watching the News Track. I'm Rahul Kamal. For a long time, it's being said that the age of artificial intelligence will soon be upon us. With the arrival of ChatGPT, is the AI age now here? What does this mean for the future of Indian education? Students very often get asked questions based on their past knowledge. You don't really need to know any longer. You can just ChatGPT it, and if you do, where does that leave teachers? Where does that leave principals? Where does that leave grading? Where does that leave the Indian exam system? All that and more coming up on the News Track tonight.
It can draft a business pitch. It can churn out film scripts. It can do your homework. It can write codes. But it's not human. A big tech disruptor. AI chatbot that has everyone worried. Will it kill Google? Is your job safe? ChatGPT chatter decoded on Newstrack.
An all-new artificial intelligence chatbot is generating massive chatter. It's called ChatGPT, and it can pretty much write anything for you. Essays, poems, books, screenplays, even code. ChatGPT is being called the ultimate tech disruptor, the Google killer, and a threat to human jobs. If you've been living under a rock and haven't heard about the ChatGPT story just yet, let's start with our first report.
The hallmark of internet revolution for 2 decades now.
Alexa, remind me to do my laundry at 2 p.m. today.
Okay.
Remind me to wash my white dress shirt at 2 p.m. today.
I'll remind you at 2 p.m. today.
Oh, remind me to give myself a high five for finishing my laundry at 3 p.m. today.
Okay. I'll remind you at 3 p.m. today.
What?
Fast forward, and we find artificial intelligence everywhere. From our cell phones, in living rooms, and behind the wheel. But now we have a new phenomena, a new disruptor on the tech horizon. A super intelligent chatbot that wouldn't just throw internet links. An AI tool that responds with crisp sentences, explains concepts in a language that you and I can easily understand. Generate ideas from business strategies to vacation plans. Sample this.
The moment you open it up, it's not difficult to figure at all. What I found really, really interesting is that they've given you a number of examples of what kind of questions you can ask. There are capabilities. They also, yes, have some limitations. It's not capable of doing anything and everything you want. There are certain limitations on what can be done. For example, it says limited knowledge of world and events after 2021. So this is essentially how ChatGPT looks. Let's show you also how it works.
And within seconds, it literally shows you how to do it.
In a nutshell, it's an experimental dialogue-based chatbot that understands natural human language and delivers human-like written text.
It's coming. The answer is B.
It's not yet perfect and may carry factual errors. GPT for Giant Pre-trained Transformer does carry the promise of a giant technological leap. Meet the man behind the startup which developed the latest bot technology. Elon Musk backed non-profit OpenAI 7 years ago with a funding of $1 billion. Last month, the Twitter CEO backed out of the company he once supported. So how does ChatGPT work?
I'm not tech geek, so things have to be pretty easy and uncomplicated for me to use. I find ChatGPT pretty easy, but let me ask and show you an example of how it works with a very basic question. I'm going to ask ChatGPT how ChatGPT works. So here's my question, you type it out here. I'm asking, how does ChatGPT by OpenAI work? It says clearly here that it takes in a large data set of texts and uses that to learn the relationships between words and patterns that occur in the language. ChatGPT is a variant of GPT that's been specifically designed to facilitate conversation. It includes additional training data and has been fine-tuned to make it better at generating responses to prompts that are similar to those that it might encounter in a chat setting. So there's the definition of ChatGPT by OpenAI.
Let's understand it from the horse's mouth, the tool itself.
What's got everyone talking about ChatGPT is the fact that it can even write out something as complicated as code. So I decided to try it out. Here's my question. I'm saying, let's say, write a code for a shoe website, right? Let's see what it shows me. And let's see if it's actually capable of creating an HTML structure. There you have it. It's already begun. And it's writing out the code for me as I speak. Makes life so much easier for so many of you out there whose life is all about coding.
The AI-powered bot has left the tech world and ordinary users stunned. Trained on language model to create convincing, conversational responses from the ocean of online information, ChatGPT attracted 1 million users within days of its launch last month.
How it can augment every one of us in whatever it is that we are doing. Every knowledge worker is going to be more creative, more expressive, more productive. Every frontline worker will be able to do more knowledge work than they ever were able to do because of this co-pilot being there for them. Every design task, whether it's software engineering, mechanical design, architecture, pick your design task, is going to be that much more productive going forward.
But the landmines could be as enormous. A fire alarm for Google, for instance, a possible, if not certain, replacement for the traditional search engines. Ironically, Google was one of the pioneers of artificial intelligence.
भारत के टॉप साइंस कॉलेज यह रहे कुछ विश्वविद्यालय.
It may have to struggle to compete with the new bot to stay relevant.
Where do you want to go?
It depends. There will definitely be unintended consequences that we will have to guard against. So AI ethics, AI safety, alignment with human preferences, these are huge topics. Displacement is going to be a huge topic. But we have to take those all as first-class considerations. What is possible, what are the unintended consequences, and work on them as a developer community.
Those in written professions, coders, screenwriters could also find themselves in trouble if ChatGPT does what they do. That too with precision, accuracy, and without plagiarizing. Concerns about ChatGPT have grown in the education sector. Schools in New York have restricted access to the tool over fears that it could well hamper critical thinking and problem-solving skills. But the technology seems ready to take its chance in the world of artificial intelligence. Bureau Report, India Today.
Is ChatGPT a disruptor in a good way or in an evil fashion? ChatGPT is triggering a massive debate worldwide. Schools in New York City, for example, have blocked access to the tool over cheating concerns. Closer home, parents and teachers are worried that a chatbot could kill creativity and hamper problem-solving skills.
Changing the way we interact with technology.
This is how the screen shows when you visit this for the first time, and there are a lot of examples if you are a new one. So for example, if I have to create article for my 5-year-old kid on my best friend, so I'll just say write an essay on my best friend for 5th grader. And the moment I hit enter, it starts writing something.
Designed to deliver thorough answers to questions, factual and open-ended alike. But as with any technology, there are concerns about the negative impacts of ChatGPT, especially in education settings. Relying too heavily on the tool could lead to a lack of critical thinking skills.
AI technology is a double-edged knife. It can be used for the positive things as well as the negative things also. In learning environment, it actually kills the creativity of a student. Say, my son is very interested in AI and everything, but I am okay for that. But it actually kills the creativity. There is no other thinking development. They just simply put the words and get the essays. They put some words and get the paintings. It's really painful to see that.
Some educationists take the technological leap as a challenge. More so when the AI model could lead students to cheat on assignments without the fear of being caught. After all, ChatGPT gives out unique versions not detected by existing plagiarism software.
I think the real challenge is the readiness of a teacher. Honestly speaking, this COVID has made most of the children very techie. So they are ahead of us, the adult. And that is the key difference. The teachers still feel that, getting into the class and having a lecture method and the regular assignments, the regular strategies for teaching it will work out. But the real gap is that's not effective in the class. So I think teachers need to get empowered.
Being an AI researcher and a computer vision researcher myself, I'm really amazed at what they have done. But still, there are concerns regarding students can use this particular app for studying things. But there are concerns regarding the validity of the information they get out of this app. So there should be some method to validate this particular thing. We won't have a method to validate whether this thing is actually what is done by students or something. So that is our concern.
Experts argue that it's important for students to learn how to find and evaluate information on their own, rather than simply pressing keys on a chatbot.
Artificial intelligence itself is an idiot box, because whatever you feed, it only interprets and acts according to that already available data. Children's using such a tool and completing their thing, and their knowledge will be at stake, because if they write on their own, they understand and execute is a different thing. Some artificial intelligence doing part of their work is not acceptable.
Misinformation, another concern from the use of GPT technology.
So we cannot rely on the system, and we cannot give 100%, or we cannot sit somewhere else, parent, he's actually chatting with the AI technology application, so my kid will learn only good things. Nobody knows.
That's not true, you never know. Correct.
It may happen anything.
50-year-old Subhadeep Acharya has two sons, the elder in grade 12 and the younger in 6. The parent fears artificial intelligence of this scale could jeopardize problem-solving skills.
This type of tool, I would say that it should be introduced, or if it is to be introduced, as only a kind of an extra curriculum, and that too to a very senior class, not to a junior section or the growing age, I would say till class 9, or the age group from 14 to 15, not before that.
But protagonists of artificial intelligence insist ChatGPT represents the future.
ChatGPT is more like your everyday assistant, right? Who can answer basic questions, who can set reminders for you, who can perform basic tasks, who can write your homeworks, essays and stuff. So what it means for the future is it might cause a great rupture in multiple industries. Think of it as an encyclopedia which keeps updating daily, which keeps gathering information daily, and you can always ask it for any information and it will, for the best of abilities, give it to you, and you can have a conversation with it, train it. It's more like your assistant but also your pet.
A game changer in the world of technology, highly coherent and realistic text generation, but with the possibility of spreading misinformation, encourage academic dishonesty and displace human labor. Bureau Report, India Today.
Make absolutely no mistake, ChatGPT is far and away the most revolutionary real-life use of artificial intelligence, and we're already seeing in New York where schools have put a ban on ChatGPT because students were getting addicted to it. This could well start happening in India as well. How do we make the best use that is possible of a tool like ChatGPT without ruining the education system, without letting bad actors use it for disruptive activities? To talk about this technology which is disrupting our lives in more ways than we can imagine. This has been spoken of for a long time. The age of artificial intelligence, is that finally upon us? What do we need to do to stay ahead of the curve? Joining me on this broadcast is Dr. Debanga Raj Niyog, Professor at of Data Science and Artificial Intelligence at IIT in Guwahati. Kanish Gaur joins us, founder and CEO of the India Future Foundation. We've got Amita Wattal, chairperson of the DLF Foundation for Education and Scholarships. She's previously been chairperson of the National Progressive Schools Conference. We've got Siddharth Pai, well-known technologist, managing partner at 314 Capital. Ayush Ailavadi joins us, tech editor for Business Today Television. And we've got a parent and a son. Raghvendra S. is a father. Sarvesh Shriman is a student of the 11th standard. And I want to welcome all our guests. And I want to go across first to Ayush, because we're already seeing this, Ayush, in New York. ChatGPT banned in some schools. Students seen getting their homework done through chatbot. Now, when this came out in November 2022, this is what everyone suspected would happen. That kids would get used to it, feed in their question, voila, everyone gets a different answer. You take it back to your principal, to your teachers, and the likes of Amita Wattal are left scratching their head, tearing their hair apart, wondering what to do.
Absolutely, Rahul. I mean, technology and ChatGPT in this particular case truly is a double-edged sword. While it has been used in several cases to demonstrate the potential, like you were saying, of AI in schools, especially in the New York public schools, there have been certain cases where this has been used for the wrong purposes. That said, there have been chats with OpenAI, the guys who made ChatGPT, and they have to work on checks and balances. And that's why in deliberations, they have revealed that mitigations will be needed, because this is something which could hamper the development of the faculties of some of these kids in school. Creative thinking, plagiarism, there are major issues that could crop up with this. And we'll touch upon this through the course of the conversation, but there are other AI chatbots, one by Google as well with Lambda, and there have been several issues with these as well, and hence checks and balances really need to be brought in with some of these artificial intelligence products.
See that, Pai, some of the critics are saying that banning ChatGPT is as silly as 20 years ago people saying that they should ban the Google search engine, because it was the exact same fear at that time that students would start typing in their homework, asking questions to the search engine, and the search engine would throw up answers. And therefore, don't be silly. The age of AI is here. ChatGPT is here to stay. Teachers, principals, the academic system must learn how to reconcile with the new reality.
No, I agree. I actually do agree 100%. I think the first question I had when ChatGPT came out was, why couldn't this exist when I was actually in school or college?
All of us are thinking the same, Siddharth. Yes.
That's actually true. But see, this is actually the beauty of AI, right? And of technology for that matter. No matter what you can actually do, there is no way to actually stop the inexorable rise of technology as we know it as of now. So I think even if you try banning it or anything for that matter, there are ways and means for people to actually end up accessing this. And ChatGPT actually strikes at a very fundamental question about education. What is education really? Is education merely actually going on to Google or Wikipedia, reading something and regurgitating it? Or is education actually asking the right kind of questions and using the entire tool set that's available to you to make sure that you actually get the best results? And a large shift of education that we're seeing in the world right now, it's actually happening to the latter, where education no longer about answering questions, not about giving the right answer, but about asking the right questions. How do you actually poke holes in the logic that you end up seeing? And ChatGPT is actually like Google or any of the tools that already do exist. I agree that plagiarism or something is actually a point that can come up. And I'm fairly certain that using AI itself, one AI can actually figure out whether this particular sentence or paragraph or report has actually been written by another piece of AI or not. These are actually simplistic tools that can end up doing. But banning it is actually a very myopic solution. It's not going to solve anything. For that matter, instead, they should actually embrace it and put as part of the course curriculum itself. So the new generation of people coming out are actually fluent in these new age technologies, and they won't actually suffer the technology deficit that will actually prevent them from participating in the innovation economy going forward.
It's not about what education should be. It really is about what education is in the Indian context at this moment, where it's not about joining the dots, it's about being asked a question and you get marked on whether you know the answer or not. It's very often based on information. Now, especially when it comes to homework, you type in the question, it throws up a response, you ask for a play, he'll write you one, he'll write Ayush another play, he'll write me a third. Is this really a principal's worst nightmare now playing out?
There have been so many nightmares that I think educators would become sleepless by now. From banning books of Dr. Seuss to banning Wimpy Kid, what is it that has not been banned over the years as far as education is concerned? So, I mean, this is another technology piece. And I think that, yes, it has become a great rage, particularly because children are using it a lot for school projects. In fact, I have a student of mine who says that he used it to write a love poem because all he did was to just put out some words and suddenly it became a poem of love which he could send to his girlfriend. The point I'm making here on a more deeper level is that, in many ways, this particular app helps because it sort of brings out a lot of thought processes in a child, because it's not as though when you go into a Google, it just tells you which article to read or goes to another link. Here, it sort of opens out other horizons for you. I'm not saying it is the best thing, but at least it makes you think of other things. Because children in today's board examinations or examination systems think in silos. At least this particular app is not making children think in silos if they're doing things. And as far as the rest of India is concerned, how many people really have access to technology? So India, in that way, in a way, has to first look at basic technologies 2.0. Then even if they start looking at an AI, worry about the AI. But I do think that young people who have the wherewithal and who have the privilege of using these technologies can find some interesting ways of looking at the way that the neurons, the synapses of their brains work through this particular technology.
Raghvendra, as a parent of adolescent child, how concerned are you about the fact that you've now got this technology which potentially can answer all questions? I mean, at one level, it makes your life easier because they don't need to ask you questions. They can just type in to the chatbot and the chatbot will tell you exactly what they need to know. The flip side, though, is that it potentially takes away some of the knowledge or the skills that kids at that age would be building by going through the textbooks, because you have this very easy solution of just typing in the question and getting an answer.
So I like to, my concern is, that is my concern, because AI today will be giving the right answer. So we are seeing the technology. So just for, I think few years back, right? So when we come to the AI, which was this TASE, I think from Microsoft, so that was shut down within 24 hours because the AI and the machine learning, actually that application itself is changed by getting some new learning from the different kinds of peoples and their inputs. So as a parent, I am concerned today. So for example, now you ask question, you get one type of an answer because it has already learned from the from other person. So this is how that AI and the machine learning is actually learning. This chat applications are working like that. Now my concern is, as a parent, if I leave today my kids with these applications, today he'll be seeing some questions like, what is this, what is that, and after something has been done, or it's by actually been hijacked by some other hackers or something, so it may give some sort of other relevant solution for the particular questions or something. For example, my kid may ask, okay, I am get bored, so what can I do? Or, so what should I do for my birthday? So how do I celebrate? So these kind of questions can be asked today. So that is my concern today as a parent. So now bots are giving different kinds of answers based on these kind of questions, but we're not sure, because as the ChatGPT is telling, right? So it may give some wrong answers or it can fail somewhere. So they are not actually responsible. So it's like still in open source and still.
Sarvesh Shriman, is ChatGPT already in the school circuit? Indian students already using this for a lot of their homework, or it's not? What's a nightmare in New York hasn't reached New Delhi just yet?
Sir, I'm not sure about ChatGPT yet. This is the first time, honestly, this is the first time I've heard of it. But I'm sure there's a lot of students in India who already use a lot of software, like paraphrasing softwares and a lot of different softwares to get their work done. It's not just, school-going kids, it's college-going kids. A lot of people who use these softwares to, get rid of a lot of their work, because it's much more easier to, get stuff done, and a lot less effort has to be put for the same result, because you don't have to type a lot of stuff. You don't have to get the vocabulary. You don't have to do much. You just have to get the the essence of whatever you're trying to type, and your product will be there. But at the same time, the concern of the creativity being lost, it's not necessarily true, because at the end of the day, the person will have to review it and would have to correct the mistakes done by the AI. So I definitely think the software is being updated at the moment. They're pretty useful, and I think as far as the education system is, it needs to get updated, because as everyone still uses textbook in the time of smartphones. I can just open my smartphone right now and get all the answers like in a textbook. So yeah, I think our education still has to catch up and change the rules and bend the rules a bit to adjust to these new innovations.
Kanish Gaur, Siddharth's solution was, instead of banning or trying to dismiss technologies like ChatGPT, use AI to your advantage. Start using AI to check whether students have actually copied from elsewhere, because forget a principal or a teacher having to do this. AI would be able to go through the text and tell you in a moment whether it's been plagiarized, and if so, from where.
I completely agree with Siddharth. In fact, instead of banning ChatGPT, we should teach ChatGPT to teachers and principals as well, so they can use it much more effectively to check on plagiarism. There will always be questions about ethics of AI, but banning AI is stupid. Technologies evolve. We need to evolve as human beings to adapt to that technology and create mechanisms to use it positively, rather than just saying completely no to any new innovation which comes into the picture. If you just look back, a couple of days back, Microsoft also decided that they will create an additional functionality in their search engine Bing to allow ChatGPT. So if big tech companies are looking at creating newer solutions, I don't understand why we should ban ChatGPT.
No, but there's a
We
much
could have
larger
measures.
play that's on, Ayush, because Google's dominated the search engine market, and Microsoft, try as they might, hasn't been able to shake off Google's dominance. And by allying with an AI bot like ChatGPT, the likes of Bing and Satya Nadella would hope that they can find some way of finally being able to make Google look like the fuddy here.
Absolutely, Rahul. A couple of points with context where Google really got smoked by Microsoft, because Microsoft, fun fact, invested $1 billion in OpenAI to build ChatGPT. They use Microsoft's cloud platform to use this. It's $100,000 a day which is spent to run this sort of AI bot, which we think is free. That's $3 million every month. That said, Lambda, which was Google's version of it, they played it very, they took it with a sense of precaution. They were very careful and wary about it, and they didn't go public with it just like ChatGPT did. And like the previous guest was saying, it will be linked to Microsoft Bing, which has really suffered in the search engine race. With Lambda, there are any learnings. Blake Lemoine, the researcher who joined Google to actually figure out whether this AI is indulging, Lambda is indulging in discriminatory or hate speech. That's the concern I have, even if you ask this question in the context of schools and young impressionable minds. Google's Lambda was accused of being sentient, which means that it had come to life. The reason he came to that hypothesis was the questions he asked it over a long period of research gave it answers which really did speak of hate speech, discrimination, was not rid of biases, all sorts of racism. And the reason that happens is because the previous, the student on the show very nicely said that I can go on Google and get the answers to all of my homework. ChatGPT works differently. It's an AI chatbot which works on a very complex algorithm, scouring the interwebs throughout. Whatever information's on the internet, that algorithm then picks that data and then comes and gives you the output. So that's actually very dangerous, because you've automated the one process where you had some human intervention, where you chose that you want to go on India Today and watch the transcript of this show, and maybe not on another media organization's website, because this is where the credible news is. So, just putting it in context, Rahul, I really think the only way, the solution with ChatGPT, someone said you can use AI to really protect what's happening to the users of this AI ChatGPT, is to democratize the process. Do not let big tech control this. Crowdsource it, have conversations like this on the show, get school teachers, students, various stakeholders involved, and democratize the process so that various checks and balances can be in place.
No, but the problem is that if you ask for a Shakespearean play on ChatGPT, he'll give you an answer. You ask for a book written in the style of verse of Ruskin Bond, he'll give you a different answer. So the problem here, Dr. Niyog, is that different answers can be given to the same question depending on the variables that you type in. And that really makes it much more complex than anything that we've seen from any chatbot so far.
Yes, definitely. Considering all the conversation that we had so far, so I still believe that we should build some algorithms that can actually tackle all these kind of subtle aspects. So I just want to bring in one more kind of technology which was popular a couple of actually came to news about a couple of years ago. It was deepfake, right? So in the videos, someone can actually morph your face with someone else's. And in deepfake, if you actually look at the research papers coming out right now, there are a lot of papers actually focusing on how to find out a particular face is forged or not, right? And it is working actually in many, although it is not there yet to really figure out 100%, but still it can do. So regarding ChatGPT also, although there will be randomness, there are ways to figure out that whether actually it was created synthetically or actually it was written by human.
No, but,
so I think, yeah.
But Amitabh Vattal, the problem in the way students are taught in India, let's assume that your school puts out a question which asks for an essay for on the first war of Indian independence, and you say you're a grade 7 student, he'll give you a different kind of answer. You're a grade 12 student, he'll give you a different kind of answer. You're a student of Indian history, he'll give you a different kind of answer. Now that's the problem. It's not just throwing up one basic answer with one particular set of details. The answer can change based on the level that you want the computer to give you, and that really takes the level of complexity to a whole different dimension.
No, you see, you have to understand that I know everybody keeps talking about the national education policy, but one of the most important aspects of the national education policy is the kind of questions that you ask. So the point is that you no more directly ask a question like, when was the Treaty of Versailles signed? It just may be, what would you do if you had to sign the Treaty of Versailles? So the point is that there also is a kind of a thinking involved in this. It's not so, it's not as simple as you're putting it, because for whatever it's worth, the education system is changing. There is a lot of training that is going on with teachers and with educators as to, can we get ungoogable questions? Can we get things out there where children use their creative minds, they use the way that they can disseminate knowledge on their own, and whether they can make connectors, and through network neurals, can they go ahead with it? So maybe a program like this will help them to reflect and think more, and just not say, write an essay of 300 words. It gives you an essay of 300 words. Because any teacher or any educator will realize that this has all been plagiarized. After all, that much sense.
No, but Siddharth, here's the problem. Now, the one standard academic response would be, as we just heard from Amitabh Vattal, that can there be questions that are ungoogleable, if there was such a word? The reality is that with the kind of technical prowess that ChatGPT has, it's unlikely that there is anything which is ungoogleable or something which ChatGPT can't get through. You ask any question, you say, how do you think? And he'll tell you how you possibly think on that issue if you feed in the right kind of variables to go with it. And that really makes it much more complex, not just finding something which isn't on Google. It's a far bigger problem than that.
So actually, Rahul, that's actually a fantastic question. I think the only answer to that is that we actually need to ask ChatGPT, how do we prevent ChatGPT from corrupting an entire generation of youth that's actually coming online right now. But I think, but jokes aside, see, the entire point of education is actually prepare you for the real world. Now, nowhere in the real world does anyone actually ask you, okay, give me Newton's first law, second law, third law, tell me about Archimedes' principle, etc. Our entire life is about the application of the cumulative knowledge that we have and using the tools that are actually available to us. So rather than trying to fight the march of progress, which actually encourages our students to use actually tools like this to come out with new and innovative means of actually answering questions and of actually learning itself. Learning is not the process of memorizing facts and actually regurgitating it for an exam.
No, but what you're saying is correct, but that's not the Indian education system. Let's assume that there's a finely developed liberal arts system where such critical thinking is encouraged. It's a different matter. India is what it is at this moment. This tool is here. Sooner than later, and especially in the way that digital technologies are proliferating, Ayush, people will be using this tool across the length and the breadth of the country. It's not as if it's only a problem in New York. Very soon it will be a problem in Darbhanga, it will be a problem in Dumka, it will be a problem in Idiki, it will be a problem everywhere.
True. Very, very true. And I think, see, that's the entire part about it. We need to teach our students how to do this. And I think the biggest disruption to Indian education wasn't the internet. It's actually going to be ChatGPT, because it actually breaks the entire power of the schools and the teachers about controlling the student. Now, the student no longer just spend hours upon hours sitting and writing that. A few lines for that matter, and they can answer all their homework within a span of about 15-20 minutes itself. So the Indian education system is going to be forced to adapt. Banning it is not going to work. There are enough ways to circumvent the ban. So I think this is the critical moment for Indian education.
But my fear, Kanish Gaur, is that the idea that the Indian education system needs to change is a very old idea. People have been talking about it for a very long time and it hasn't changed. For most for the most part, in most schools and colleges, education is still knowledge-based, information-driven, dependent on rote, and that is exactly what ChatGPT can help you with.
I think this is the moment where Indian education is going to be forced to actually change. And I think this is the inflection point. I think the new education policy should actually relook at using these kind of tools when it comes to imparting education.
Amita Vatal, you've got Siddharth saying that this is the biggest disruption in the education system. Are teachers, principals, academics ready for such a disruption, or do you at this moment think it's a bit overstated?
No, I do think it's a bit overstated, because I think every era, every year, we're coming up with something new which we are consistently dealing with, and we're putting it behind us and we're taking it forward.
Ma'am, have you used this tool? Can I just suggest, once you get over the show?
I just want to share with you that I've just gone through the whole thing.
Okay.
And in fact, the interesting thing is, and I just want to share this with you, that I had asked, just for the sake of it, I had just asked a question related to violence and racism, and it did not comment. So that gave me a certain amount of hope. It did not comment. So there are issues that sometimes maybe it has issues about free speech or something, but it did not comment when I asked a direct question on violence.
No, so they put those controls, but ask him to write an essay for you on the first war of Indian independence. He'll give you an essay. Now, what do you do with that?
No,
you ask him to write an essay in the style of Shakespeare, he'll write an essay in the style of Shakespeare.
Rahul, but then you see, you have to understand one thing, that you have to circumvent systems like this. You have to also absorb them into your educational system. As a speaker before me has said, you can't just dismiss them. There are ways and means of working around them, irrespective of what the education system is. We have educated people, we have scientists, we have doctors. I mean, we just cannot dismiss an entire nation's education system by saying that, where it is what it is. It has had some very wonderful aspects to it. There are people still learning, there are people still engaging, there are people who are running universities, who are eking out existences. So it's not as though we have a dismissive education system. The point is that as a community, as a group of people, we have over the years, through our very meager means, or because technology really has not in this way hit every town and every cluster and every zilla of this country, because of the fact, as I mentioned, we don't have that kind of help, but yet we have been able to circumvent, to absorb, to create hybrid models. And I think today it's ChatGPT, tomorrow it will be some other GPT, but we will have to consistently move on. And I believe that every system that we have gone towards, starting from Google, or whether it was Facebook or Insta or Snapchat or any other app that in the beginning we got very tense about, somewhere or the other, some aspect of it we have integrated into our lives in a positive manner and try to see that it becomes as positive as possible. I mean, from a tool of a pencil to what we are finding today, we have, civilization has grown and been able to sort of take some and leave some. And that's what life is all about. And that's
at this moment, Amita Vatal is saying, I'm sure we'll find a way around this. I have my doubts, because this is much more disruptive than Google, much more disruptive than TikTok or Snapchat. This is a big challenge. Make no mistake, the capabilities of artificial intelligence at this moment are going to change how teachers need to grade students in class. It cannot be the way it was. And in India, it's much easier to talk of change. And change can happen in more evolved schools. But I've studied in all kinds of schools across the country. There are evolved schools and not so evolved schools, and where you just check whether somebody can get you an answer or not. And here, that is a real problem. The other fear, Ayush, is bad actors, hackers. Now, this is OpenAI, and they claim that they have very strong security protocols and that bad actors can't mess up the algorithm and that they have enough checks in place. But hackers always seem to find a way. How big a concern is that?
Absolutely, Rahul. Security is generally a concern. And like I explained earlier, the way that ChatGPT works, you really said it spot on. It's a much bigger concern. The perils of this are largely understated when we're comparing it to what happened with social media. There are content review moderation committees out there. This is an OpenAI tool funded in many ways by Microsoft and Elon Musk. And And it was started off as a research tool, but if it wasn't that dangerous in terms of, like you said, some of the questions, Mr. Nadella was here in Mumbai a couple of days ago. He asked it, all sorts of innocuous questions about the best kind of street food in Mumbai. It told you about Vada Pav, then did a Shakespearean play or something talking about the best street foods here in Mumbai. But if that was not such a concern, then why would the Q&A coding site that's called Stack Overflow actually ban users for sharing content that was generated by ChatGPT? Because they were flooding this platform, which is a sort of, crowdsourced platform which talks about some of the things that they've revealed. If they were actually revealing content which was dubious and factually incorrect. And that is a concern that even OpenAI is working on. So I think, one, on the security bit, two, if there's no transparency, there's definitely unanticipated consequences, and this cannot go unabated. It definitely, I'm a big proponent of technology as a tech enthusiast, but if this one doesn't come with its checks and balances, however it is, by dialogue, by getting some of these topics moderated, by working with some of the different stakeholders, we can be in for a little bit of an issue. Like you said, all over India, it's not just a big city problem. In the smaller towns and cities is where actually the maximum issues with bots on Instagram come about. It's a very tech-savvy population with the 4G and now 5G boom. A lot of people can have access to a free chatbot like this, and hence it does need to be regulated or controlled, or some of these concerns mitigated.
Now this is, make no mistake, massively disruptive. It's a topic you will hear a lot more about. If you haven't tried it out, give it a shot. You'll be spooked beyond words. And just the capabilities of artificial intelligence at this moment, the good thing is that they're trying to walk carefully. The bad thing is you don't know the limitations to the fullest extent. This requires the deepest possible debate and discussion, because the change is here and the change is now. And to my mind, the change is going to hit Dumka as much as it will hit Delhi. So it's not just a big city problem, as Ayush said. This will, sooner than we know, be across the country, and everybody now has access to smartphones, they have access to 4G, they have access to 5G. So teachers, academics have a big challenge coming their way. We'll track what happens on this. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm slipping into a very quick break. When we come back, cops hunt for Shankar Mishra, the man who urinated on an elderly woman on Air India flight. Where is he now? Details on the other side.
News is about putting people first. Just look at the queues right across. About asking the right questions to those in power. It takes no sides.
माँ का दर्द एक दर्द कोई नहीं समझ सकता उस दर्द को.
It reveals, it heals. Angry people came out on the streets. Is this the kind of justice